We are savage nemesis. We are holy warriors. Red-eyed, drunk, clutch tight, a ringside cheering a dirty fight. We are brazen animals.
Christine Fellows is a multi-instrumentalist, songwriter, and singer based in Winnipeg, Manitoba. After playing in a couple of bands, Fellows went solo at the turn of the century and has released 7 albums of uniquely adventurous pop music, often revealing a true interest in reflecting the stories of marginalized voices from a perspective rife with empathy and wit. Christine's new album is called Roses on the Vine, which she co-produced with her husband, John K. Samson of the Weaker Thens, and it's out now on their new arts imprint, Vivat Virtute. Ahead of a few shows that she and John are playing, Christine and I overcame some technical issues, and then we talked about her new album, Winnipeg and Guelph, budgies and dogs, working with John K. Samson, her future plans, and much, much more. With the support of listeners like you who subscribe to this podcast and spread the word about it, and make flexible monthly pledges at patreon.com/creativecontrol, plus in-kind support from CFRU 93.3 FM, Pizza Trokadero, The Bookshelf, and Planet Bean Coffee in Guelph, and Grandad's Donuts in Hamilton. This is the 445th episode of Creative Control, featuring the brilliant musical force Christine Fellows, with your host, me, Vish Khanna.
And the tide is rising.
Hi, Christine. How are you?
Hi, Vish. I'm so happy to talk to you.
I'm happy to talk to you again as well. It feels like it's been too long. Are you okay there? I just so people know, we had a lovely conversation, and then technology intervened, and we lost it. So we're talking again, so to speak. We've started over. Are you okay? I know you were flustered. I was also confused and and worried about our lot in life, and now I feel better. Are you okay?
Oh, yeah, good. This is just like, in the studio. I had one time when I was making a record, not a word of a lie, the hard drive broke, and we hadn't backed it up, so we lost like a whole day of work. It was right at the end of the day, and you just carry on. You just go back in and you do it again.
Now, did you, in that circumstance, try to emulate what you had already done that was lost, or did it take a whole new direction when you started over?
A little bit of both, actually. There was, in some ways, I feel like sometimes the forces that will intervene for a reason, and maybe it was one of those cases where, it's never going to sound the same as the first time you did it. It's just going to be its own different thing. And so that's what we're making right now.
That's what we're doing it right now. We're doing the same thing.
Yeah. Is it okay on your end? Are you getting good? Check 1, 2.
No, yeah, it's fine. I think so. Okay. I think it's quite fine. Yeah, it's good. So we talked about so many things earlier, and I want to try to not copy that. But first of all, I want to ask you where in the world you are.
I am in Winnipeg.
Still? You're still there? We just you are at home in Winnipeg.
I've lived here, Vish, for 25 years.
25 years. Is that on the nose? Like this year is your 25th year in Winnipeg?
I think so. I think it is, actually. And I realize that's half my life. Yeah,
that's incredible. Where were you before you were in Winnipeg?
I think I lived in Montreal before I came here for a little bit, and I was at Guelph. I studied at University of Guelph. I didn't do anything. I got a 3% in the music course that I took at University of Guelph, which is probably a record for University of Guelph.
Your friend and mine, Dallas Worley of the Constantine, says he did. I feel like he on purpose would do that with certain art classes. He'd be like, I've got 7%. I'm like, what? How do you even do that?
That was a very good Dallas impersonation.
Oh,
actually.
Well, I grew up with Dallas, so I every once in a while can float in there. But yeah, he was just so mad at something that he decided he would purposely fail. How did you get 3%? You just gave up.
Well, obviously I did 3% of the 3% of the work. I remember it was like a music course, but it was like a 20th century music where we were actually manipulating tape. Like, I'm making it sound really fun, where you actually got to cut and splice actual tape and make loops and stuff.
That sounds cool.
It doesn't it? Well, it wasn't. That's why I took it. And it was heinous. It was the worst course ever. And the prof, now that I'm an old person, I look back and I shake my finger at him. Shame.
Oh, at
shame.
him? Oh.
Yeah.
You're not regretful of your own actions in the course. You're still mad at him.
I am still mad at him.
What was wrong with him?
I'm a little mad at me. It was just one of those classes where, like my husband's mom says, it's supposed to be fun.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Yeah, sure.
He made it like, I think it was because it was something that it was going to be fun, but in order to make it legitimate, like university course standard material, he had to go out of his way to make it as unfun as possible.
Oh.
That sort of thing.
So wait a minute, I know you've been to Guelph many times subsequent to that experience, but was your lasting impression for some time of Guelph that there was this terrible person making things unfun, or?
No, I had many lovely teachers, like, and experiences, and met like fantastic people in Guelph that I cherish to this day. Absolutely. He was an anomaly.
Okay. So 25 years in Guelph, a little bit of time in Guelph, or 25 years in Winnipeg,
yeah.
A little bit of time in Guelph, a little bit of time in Montreal. Where are you actually from?
I was born in Windsor, Ontario, but I grew up out west in Kelowna.
Oh, okay.
And we spent a lot of years, most of my childhood was spent out there in the Okanagan. And then we moved around a bit. And then when my family came back we moved away out of Canada for a bit. And then when we moved back, I just kind of tried to find my home. And it took me a bunch of tries. I tried a lot of places, but Winnipeg was the one.
That's fascinating to me. I mean, what was it about Winnipeg that kept you there?
You know what it was, actually, is everywhere I would travel, because I did, all that stuff. I did the tree planting and, various weird jobs, and a lot of like traveling back and forth and here and there and everywhere. And every time I met a really interesting or excellent person, I'd ask them where they were from, and they'd say they were from Winnipeg.
Oh.
Yeah, and it happened enough times that I actually had to, give it a shot. So, and as it turns out, these are my people. I didn't know that.
What characterizes the people of Winnipeg from your perspective exactly? Because I've been to Winnipeg many times. I have relatives in Winnipeg.
You do?
Oh yeah. I have my aunt and uncle-in-law are there. What else is there? Oh, my aunt, my mom's, I think it's my mom's cousin. I'm going to get in trouble for this. But let's just say my aunt owns the East India Company restaurant.
No way!
Yes.
It's so delicious.
It's amazing. It's really good. And so, yeah, I have those people there.
You got an in with those guys?
Kind of. I've joked about this before, and I don't mean to do it again, but the first time I went there, I was there for the Junos in 2004, I want to say, maybe. Mm-hmm, and I went and I popped in, they didn't know I was coming. And they were like, "Oh my God, Vishal." And I sat down, and buffet was on the house. Everything was great. So then I brought the Jim Guthrie band with me the next time, the same span of time, while we were all at the Junos. And then they charged us. And I was like, oh, well, okay, I guess that's okay. But then, years later, I get married to a woman, my wife, Michelle, and we're all in Winnipeg to visit, Michelle's mom's brother is who lives in Winnipeg. So we're all there visiting them. And so Michelle and her parents and I go there for dinner, and I make a point of saying, "Hey, it's me." And they're like, "Oh, My late uncle was there and my aunt was there, and they were very excited to see me, and they charged us again. They charged me for the meal, and I was trying to act like a big shot, in front of my in-laws, and I have a slight... I've made a joke about this, and I got flack for it before. I made this joke when I had a CBC show, for crying out loud. So it got back to them that I was joking about it. Yeah. Well, I don't mean it's just meant to be a good, fun thing. Like, I don't mean like they're terrible people. I probably would have charged me too. Look at me. I'm not.
I can't look at you. I wish I could.
Sorry.
I heard about that hair.
We were talking about how magical my hair is currently, and you'll see it soon enough when you get to Guelph. Get back to Guelph, I should say.
I'm so excited.
Anyway, yeah. So I've been to Winnipeg. I know Winnipeg, but I wouldn't dare to characterize the people of Winnipeg. You say they're your people. How do you characterize that? They're all different.
I don't know.
It's a case-by-case scenario. You just feel like that city's for you.
I guess so. I just kind of, it was like when I moved here, I didn't play music yet when I moved here. Maybe I had played music, but I didn't ever write songs or anything. And writing songs and kind of coming into my own as whatever kind of artist I am was coincidental, perhaps, with coming here, or maybe it was because I met the people.
Right. Okay.
And maybe it's because they were kind to me too, Sometimes you go to a place and I do find this place very welcoming and generally, especially the artistic community.
Yeah, it has a very rich and vibrant artistic community. I find sometimes when I speak to people who are in places that other people might describe as kind of remote outpost type places that are cold, or when it's cold, you want to be inside. I find that some of the hottest musicians come from those places because I think this is maybe a terrible, corny generalization, but I think you stay inside and you got to figure out something to do. So you maybe spend more time learning to play your instrument or learning your craft because there's not the option to go outside for 6 to 8 months of the year is not attractive. Is that accurate for you?
For sure. I think so. I mean, I look forward to winter. Like, it wasn't too long ago we just had our first snow here, and I always get that feeling of like, oh, it's time to, you don't got to worry about the crops. You could go inside and just hunker down and make stuff. And it does feel like that. Yeah, especially, when you turn the clocks back forward or backward and you just kind of hunker into the weird light, Yeah. Oh, love it.
It is nice, isn't it? So you revel in that. Is it called wood shedding? Is that the expression?
I guess it is.
I mean, is that literally because you need to burn wood?
I guess, or filling it full of this and that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Filling up that old woodshed. But honestly, I don't really woodshed. Woodshed implies that one practices, and I despise practicing.
Oh, I see what you're... Yeah, I thought maybe woodshedding could also mean piling up ideas, coming up with a bunch of ideas, and I think I maybe have misconstrued it or misunderstood what it means, because I think it's what you just said, but I always think of it as getting together with people and coming up with ideas maybe or something. I know there's part of that in that word to me. It seems like an odd term, woodshedding. I don't know what else it could mean,
I like your definition, actually. I prefer it. I'm gonna take that on and embrace it.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna fill up my woodshed, which is funny because right now our whole yard is like weird wood piles with giant tarps over top of them because we just got a wood stove this year and we're gonna heat our house mainly with wood heat.
Oh wow.
So we're like we're the crazy people in the neighborhood with a giant tarped piles of wood.
No, that's probably just that's probably the way to go. What was your gas bill getting too high or something?
We have it's to be super boring. We have electric heat, an electric boiler here, and it's insanely expensive. And yes, and what's nicer than like when you have a climate that's like freezing cold for 6 months of the year? What do you want? You want to have a nice wood stove. And I tell you, our dog, she's 11. and she deserves this situation, which she's employing as I speak. She's lying less than 4 feet in front of the stove, which you're not supposed to, because you could burn from the inside out, but she's doing it.
And the last time you were on the show, which we earlier in the basement tapes version of this interview, we established that you were on the show maybe 4 years ago, and we talked a lot at that time, or we were starting at that time to talk about your budgie pickles, and then I talked about my budgie buddy. I don't remember us talking about your dog. Who is your dog? What is your dog?
Oh, yeah, Lucy. I guess she's been around. She's 11, so she's been in our lives for 11 years. We used to have another one, Lefty.
Oh, okay.
And Lucy.
Yeah.
But Lefty passed away a couple of years ago, and now we just have the one dog.
Oh,
one dog.
I'm sorry about that. That's sad. That's sad to hear. But
everybody die.
Yeah. yes. If people are going to leave this interview thinking anything, it's that everybody die. Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I don't know why I'm laughing. There's literally gallows humor somehow emerged out of this talk. But so, does your dog get along with the pickles?
Well, they coexist. They're on.
Oh man.
She's on the floor and the bird's on the up high. And one time, though, the bird did a low pass right above Lucy's head early on in his time. Pickles was here, and he did a little low pass, and she just reached up, and because he's the color of a tennis ball. She loves tennis balls.
Sure.
And I was thinking, oh, this isn't going to be so good. And she just bit his tail off.
She bit his tail. Well, the tails grow back, which is fine. I assume that happened. Yeah, but she bit his tail off in mid-flight?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
my.
he just kept going. He didn't even notice. He didn't even care. And she was horrified. So ever since then, she just was like, I'm not, not touching that.
Oh, Lucy was horrified at her own savagery, if you will.
Yes.
What have I become?
Totally.
Biting birds in the sky. Oh, my God. I need to go to therapy. What happened to me? Oh, my God.
I know. What a monster, eh?
What a monster.
Yeah.
Well, I bring it up because there are animals on your excellent and beautiful new record, Roses on the Vine, and I hope it's you forgive me if this makes you uncomfortable, but congratulations on your record, first of all.
Thank you.
Is that okay to say? I mean, I don't want to make you uncomfortable by saying good job. I don't even know if congratulations are in order when someone makes a record anymore, but it feels like this is I know, it's such a boring thing. It's the most boringest thing to make. No, I wasn't even saying that. I just think it's an achievement. I think this is a nice achievement and musicianship here. I have this press release that is a little scant. It's like a little bare bones. I have a sense of what's going on, but I don't have liner notes. I don't know who plays on this record, but I'm really.
We didn't want to tell you everything.
Is that right?
I don't know. No.
Okay, but because now I actually, to be honest, it is kind of cool because I will at some point in this conversation say the drums are incredible on some of these songs. This song, "Evening Train," it comes in with a really cool and interesting percussion thing, and then the ukulele, all the instruments are interesting. There's there's like a driving guitar part in Unleashed. Like I'm going to ask you who did what in a moment. Sorry, was that a rambling? I just wanted to talk a little bit about things I heard, but there are animals on this record. Animals seem to have influenced your songwriting a little bit. They have for some time, if memory serves. Like I think you are at one with the animals, with the dogs, with the birds, with
I guess.
Is that wrong? Is that an inaccurate statement? Do you feel like everyone's connected to animals? Is that what you mean?
No, I like the idea of getting inside of their heads. I want to know what's going on in there, and we can only speculate.
Yeah.
And I think they're fascinating. And humans, yes, we're interesting, but not half as interesting, unfortunately.
Yeah. Was I wrong to say that animals have long sort of been a muse for you on some level?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a bird nut.
Yeah,
you'd say I've always been a bit of a bird nut, And yeah, definitely.
What is it
But,
about?
you know,
Why the bird in particular? Like there's the song "Sunrise" of yours. At one point, you say, "Turn it up, let the birds sing," which I think is interesting. It's like nature is a stereo system. I don't know if that was your intent, but it just kind of like, yeah, let's just get these birds up a little bit. It's not loud enough for me. I want to hear these songs a bit loud. You know what I mean? That's what I took away from that. But yeah, why birds? Why are you fascinated with birds?
Because they can fly.
That's it? Big deal. If I wanted to, I could fly to Winnipeg right now. Book a flight on the internet. I'd see a bird get on the internet and book a flight. I bet they can't do that. No, it's true. Yeah, they do fly. It's mystifying, isn't it? They fly and they avoid things.
Well,
effortlessly.
Except for the things that we're doing. I would keep thinking about, all those birds like flying, getting caught in the lights, city lights and that, in their migrations. And I have noticed actually a real, even in our neighborhood, we've lived in this house for, I don't know, 10 years or more, and like less and less birds, certainly.
Are you someone who, like me, blames all the different waves that we've been sending out into the air since the advent of the internet? I've heard that the cellular towers kind of mess up the bees. And I wonder, because when I grew up, I learned about the birds and the bees. So I wonder if the birds are similarly affected by these frequencies we're sending out. They must be, because the animals are really, I feel, how like animals know when it's going to rain or snow, and they leave, they split, because they're like, I'm out of here. There's bad stuff coming.
Cats see dead people.
Yes. What? What, is that a thing?
Don't they? I think they do. Don't they?
What? Why do you think that? Is that a commonly held belief?
Well, I believe it.
No, I mean, is it a common? You believe the cat? What? Why do you think cats could see dead people?
I don't know. Just you ever look at them when they see something, like there's something going on. There's obviously like nothing going on, but they see something going on.
Good Lord! Now that you say that, I'm just picturing a cat staring up into the into the middle distance.
Yeah,
kind of
dead people.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Okay,
you believe me?
Now I believe it. Yeah, it didn't take much. I believe you more than I believe anything else. Yeah, we're screwing up. I feel like we emulate animals, and there's a song. Is it the first song on the record? Is the first song called "Cocoon"?
Yeah, cocoon.
Which
is a fun word to say. Cocoon.
Cocoon. Were you a fan of the film Cocoon?
I never saw it.
You never saw it. I think of getting because it's winter. You mentioned it's winter. I think of getting kind of curled up in a cocoon, like a blanket or a nice sweater. I feel
a burrito?
Yeah, a burrito. That's right. I feel like we copy animals. Do you feel like that?
Absolutely. But I also think some of those things that we do, they're kind of the things that we copy about animals are kind of like, because we recognize that they're so cool and amazing. You know?
Yeah.
Think about that.
They know what they're doing, and we ruin it by copying it somehow. I think somehow we ruin their lives by copying them.
We are the great ruiners. Yes.
Now these songs, I feel like we started to talk about them the last time you were on the show. I think because you had just finished. We talked about when you were on the show last. Your last record must have just come out, right?
Yes. Yeah. The record about freezing to death. That record,
Burning Daylight. Did it Did it have an accompanying book?
Yep. Yeah,
that's
I
right.
Wrote some poems.
Yeah, you wrote some complimentary poems. Is that fair to say?
No, they were kind of a different set. It was just a different sort of northern experience. I guess it was my own northern experience, and the record was kind of based on Jack London's stories, but I kind of wanted to feminist at them a little bit. So I did that. But the poems were more from my own perspective, yeah. Right.
So in the relatively bare bones press release I received about this new record, which
what did they say? What's it all about? Tell me. It
says these 13 songs, a series of lovingly wrought, detailed miniatures, were inspired by the lives and work of other women among
Yeah.
them visual artists, writers, choreographers, filmmakers, family, and friends. I hear a bit of that on here. What inspired this exactly, this motif, if you will?
Yeah, well, it started out as I started writing a set of songs for a touring show that I was doing with a visual artist, Sherry Boyle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we started up in the Northwest Territories. And so we we made a show. And for that show, I started writing on ukulele.
Okay.
And I have written for ukulele in the past, but I'm mainly a piano player, and that's my writing instrument. But this time around, I just kept I kept at it, and I got a few more ukuleles. And hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, you're still there?
No,
Sorry, I
I'm
heard
just
a weird sound.
No, I heard it too, but it was probably a cat staring at a dead person. I think
Yeah, totally.
that's all that was.
Totally.
Yeah.
But
you got a
yes.
couple of ukuleles, you said?
Yeah, I got a couple of ukuleles, and now I actually have some beautiful ukuleles that were handmade for me by a wonderful local guitar maker here, and I just kind of persevered in that, and trying to make something on these instruments that I don't know how to play very exceptionally well, but that to me is always something. I'm not so much interested in being good at an instrument, but just finding out what kind of songs are in the instrument. And so, yeah, it took me about 3 years to kind of get all the way through this. And one of the songs was commissioned by the Roy Thompson Hall, Massey Hall folks about Miriam Taves. They asked a bunch of different writers to write a piece of music inspired by her work, which is like dream commission because she's amazing.
You introduced me to Miriam Taves once at a house show in Guelph.
Oh, really? Oh, right, she came.
Yeah.
That's right, she did. She came with us. That's
You
so
and
great.
I think Shotgun Jimmy also played that show. And
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Mir. That's so nice. Yeah, so that, and then a set of songs was written for a show that I did with a choreographer named Lysandra Dodson, who's one of my favorite living artists, and nobody knows about her because she works in contemporary dance, which is a marginalized art form that only like 12 people know about, and it's also the greatest art form of all of them.
It's
so it
really
kinda,
magical, isn't it? It
is.
It's super. It's the utmost of superhumanity, if I may say, if that's appropriate to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've learned more from working with contemporary dance. I often do score work. That's sort of how I spend part of my time.
Yeah.
And doing work with contemporary dance is like my absolute favorite. It's such a privilege to work with those artists. So anyways, there was just a kind of a collection of women that I'd been working with, and wanting to write music, for them, and inspired by them, and just kind of kept expanding from there. And I also, make an effort to write about women because I feel like I feel a responsibility to do so.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that when you write songs, they're coming from your particular perspective, but I can't help but think that some of these songs might be autobiographical, maybe more so than some of your other songs. Like when I listen to this song, Me and Carmen, for example, which is told from the perspective of a child, and one of the refrains is no one else, just me and Carmen, which when I think of my daughter, who is almost 4, she is obsessed still with a friend she made at daycare who left daycare, graduated from daycare a year or 2 before my daughter did. And she's still I want to see Ruby. Just every week she wants to see Ruby, this formative, just Ruby. I'm like, what about because similarly, as she got older, some of the other daycare kids looked up to her. And so they are asking about my daughter. I want to hang out with her, but my daughter is still obsessed with Ruby. And it's just no one but me and Ruby. Me and Ruby need to hang out. So when I heard this line in Me and Carmen, no one else, just me and Carmen, I thought that's a very little kid thing. I want a companion, but it has to just be me and that person. Can you speak?
I know that fierce loyalty, man, of
Yeah.
children is, and it's so honest and kind of, brutal in some ways.
It's weirdly
beautiful.
isolationist, though. It can't.
Yeah.
I just want the full attention of this other little person. Is that your perspective in that song?
No, actually, that was written inspired by these two young gals who, I'm not good at guessing ages, but
Sure.
they were between, I'd say, 6 and 9. And they were regular clients of this food bank that I used to volunteer at. And they came in every week, and they were cousins and they were best friends. And the two of them were just like, they were just so like their friendship was so fierce and so intense and so like just a beautiful thing to behold. But also it was kind of them against the world, because they talked about how, well, they wanted to learn wrestling because they thought wrestling would help them at school, like fending off the bullies and stuff.
Oh,
and like,
interesting.
Like wrestling, but it's like what a kid thinks is going to help you out. Wrestling. Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah, sure. That's a very little kid thought as well. So was I then off the mark in suggesting, I mean, like I say, I know these songs are from your perspectives, but you are also a very, within that, I mean, your perspective is an observational one as well. I know that about you. You see people, you hear about people, you hear stories, and then you would put them into a song. Was I wrong to suggest that there's a fair amount of autobiography going on this record?
I think there always is. I feel like I always kind of put little signposts in for myself that maybe only me and you know about.
Oh, okay.
But most of the times I don't necessarily write from my own perspective. I mean, other than I am the writer, so I am writing from my own perspective, but I don't write about myself so much as like autobiographically.
What about yourself in the future? Like, you used to be kind of, as I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like you used to be semi-obsessed with like spinsterism on some level.
Oh yeah, I did do a record about kind of inspired by Marianne Moore, who is a legendary spinster, and I am pretty fascinated by that idea, the word, and all of the implications of that word, and what kind of life choice that is, and people that choose to be alone. I'm interested in that. I love solitude. I'm married, and I have friends, and I live in the world. But at my heart of me, I'm like, if I get a little bit of alone time, man, sweet.
Well, there's the spinsterism, but then I think that when I was talking about you in the future, like, I feel like you are particularly sensitive to senior citizenry.
I know, I write for old people, but you know what? Old people don't buy records. They don't care. I'm writing songs for them. I've been writing songs for them for years. They don't listen.
What, are they for them or about them, though? There's a distinction I want to make there, because when I think of songs like Roses on the Vine, the title track, or Passage, which, again, you can correct me if I'm off the mark here, but I do feel that contemplation of a different point in life, or grappling with perhaps illness, or having your life altered and in a way that maybe foretells an ending sooner than you expected it to be. You contemplate these things, I think, in a very beautiful way, in a very sensitive and empathetic way. Why does that, if I'm right, if that's true, why does that fascinate you so much?
Oh, I don't know. I guess, those times in your life when, that the incredible times, I'm imagining like the birth of your children, or when you're the cat that you love very much.
Gary, yeah, my cat. Yeah, we talked about Gary the last. Gary was...
Yeah, when Gary
yeah.
goes to the better place, the
sure.
cat.
Yeah.
Beautiful cat place. Like, these are times in our life. These are such important moments, and like where everything is really crystallizes, right? You remember things, you remember details, and you remember feelings and smells and all that stuff. And I'm really interested in those kind of moments in life when you're really present. because in our day-to-day, we're not really present. We're just rushing around
Yeah.
trying to figure out what is FaceTime? How does it work? How?
Why isn't Pro Tools working? What is going on here? Why is this card full? Why did it cut off our recording? Yeah, these are the kinds of
Why
things
did John cut off his thumb? Why?
We
Did
talked
he do
about
it because
that.
he doesn't want to play in my band?
Wasn't that
What?
weird? We had a little cameo from John K. Samson in the lost version of this interview where he explained that he recently cut off his thumb. And
But he didn't explain it very well. It wasn't a good story.
No, it
was
wasn't.
one of those.
It wasn't good.
I was thinking about a book report I was writing, and then I just cut off my thumb. Like it didn't go anywhere.
I will tell you something, because I every once in a while I will ask the general public who they want on the show, and every single time someone has said John, and John and I go back a ways, and I've interviewed him a few times, but I just haven't been able to get him on this show. And when because you two, did you work together?
I thought you did an interview with the two of us some years back.
Oh, maybe not for this show. I don't think.
Oh,
this show.
really?
When I say, like, when I put the call out, I mean for creative control, like this particular version
I thought it was like, maybe I'm making
No,
that
we
up.
didn't. I don't think so. No, I did a thing.
We went to Cora's in Guelph.
Was he there for that?
I thought so.
I did a thing with John and Jim Bryson for breakfast. That was when I had that breakfast show.
Yeah, breakfast.
But I don't remember John being part of the one I did with you, but maybe. I don't remember. But
Oh,
anyway.
I thought he was there. He's always there.
He's always always there, cutting off parts of his thumb, basically. But anyway, I thought, because you two I did extend an invitation to both of you to be on the show for this record, because you worked a bit more closely together on this one than you may have other projects. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, well, we co-produced this, and we co-produced his record that he made in 2016, that Winter Wheat. We co-produced that.
Right.
So it worked out for us. We kind of liked it, actually. We both have seem to be helpful to each other in situations where we don't know what to do. So it works. It seems to be working.
As I recall, in the past when you two would be working on your respective works, one of you would be like writing and be like muttering to yourself about something, and the other one of you would look over the shoulder. I'm painting a totally fabricated romantic creative picture here, but my understanding was that one of you would be like, I don't know what's going on here, and the other one would look over and be like, why don't you try that? And then you'd be like, aha, eureka, that is the right thing to do, either one of you. And so you'd kind of vaguely collaborate. Is that an accurate? Every once in a while, I can tell when a fellow's word is maybe in a John K. Samson song and vice versa sometimes. Does that ever happen?
Oh yeah, oh absolutely. There was on Winter Wheat. I had been writing a song about, I think it was about a bus driver pulling over when our tour bus driver quit, and he like basically pulled the bus over and just packed a suitcase, and he was like, I'm out. I think he'd been driving from like Oslo to Vienna or something in one go after a long tour, and we'd already been driving a fair bit, and he just quit. So I wrote a song about that, or I had the first verse, and it wasn't very good. And John just said, "Can I have that?" I said, "Sure, you can totally have it." And then he made this incredibly amazing song out of it.
Right.
And I'm not even mad at him. It's called 17th Street Treatment Center, and it's way better than what I was writing.
I see. Okay, so that's like a happenstance thing, but those kinds of things would happen. But I always got the sense, to both of your credit, you would kind of even though you were, together, you were married, and you each had your own things, you did kind of compartmentalize. Like, you didn't necessarily want to, work together officially until it sounds like relatively recently. Was that when you worked on Winter Wheat, was that the first true full-bore collaboration before this record?
Oh no, not just, we hadn't done records. Maybe we were more, we're always sort of present, but never in a kind of a capacity that we would name.
Right, that's what I mean. Yeah,
the writing process. But we've certainly done we've co-produced lots of projects, and maybe that's just something that happened over the years where we'd done enough kind of more performance-based stuff and manuscripts. We do a lot of residencies too, where we're doing mentorship and that, and we just kind of prefer doing that together, because we both have actually completely different approaches to writing and making and presenting. So it's kind of good. And I feel like when people hire us to do stuff, they just get two different perspectives,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So this is a hopefully a good way to segue into what I was trying to get at earlier, which is like personnel on this record.
Yeah.
I want to talk about, I want to follow up on what we were just talking about in terms of how you and John worked together on these songs on this record as co-producers. And I don't know if you co-wrote things necessarily, but I'd like to hear a little bit about that. And then within that, yes, who is on this record? Who did you forbid from being attached to the press release that I received? Who are you hiding from me? I just want to know who is playing on this, because the musicianship is, I mean, all your records have fantastic musicianship, but this there's a lot of intriguing stuff here. Can you talk about how you and John worked together on these songs and this record, and then who you worked with together?
For sure. Well, I was going to ask you if you could guess who was playing drums on these songs.
Jason Tate?
Yeah. He's pretty,
distinctive. He's become a drummer with his own voice.
He really does. And
Yeah.
I mean, I've been playing with him, I realized, since 1999 was the first time I worked with him. And he's just one of my favorite, little weirdo musicians, because he brings so much he brings so much broken gear to the studio, but somehow, he's sweating and swearing a little bit, and then he makes some terrible sounds, and then he's just so creative, and then the terribleness gives way to this incredible these bursts of ideas that just nobody else would bring that to it. And that instrument that piece that you were talking about, that song Evening Train, where you're like, I love the drum beat to that.
Yeah.
He had just finished building a fence, and he had this hunk of metal,
Yeah.
that when he was and it was just out by the garage, and he just was like, oh, maybe I'll try that. He just puts it on the snare drum, and he was like, king, king, that's the sound, and I love that about him. And I think he and I certainly share a love for broken things, playing broken instruments, and making sounds, because making sounds is fun. And music is sound. It's not just being soloing.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
it's very little to do with soloing.
Yeah.
So Jason was a big, and for me, it was really, I really wanted to work with him, because the last record I did, I really wanted to work with the two cellists that I had been working with a lot in performance, and I hadn't made a record with the two of them, Alex McMaster and Leanne Zacharias. So last record was all about the three ladies, the three of us in a room, and this time Leanne and Alex are both involved on the record. Leanne does all the cellos, but Alex did some of the arranging.
Okay.
And we have Christine Bougie playing some lap steel, which it's the first time I've ever worked with her.
She's unbelievable.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was so special to me, and I was just so delighted that she just agreed to even take the time, because I know she's really busy, and just what she played was just blew my mind. So
Jason has played with Afi Irvinen's Bahamas band, and I believe Christine has as well. Is that the connection?
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And they, of course, they've been touring a lot. When we were touring with Winter Wheat together, he was also touring with Bahamas a lot. So we were just when we were developing the songs, we were actually on tour with John. So
okay.
So I was working up the songs, that year that we were touring. So that it was us, and Greg Smith plays a little bit of bass on there.
Nice.
I love the Greg Smith, and he's so beauty, eh?
Yeah, he is. That was a good impression of him. You and I are just imitating bass players from underground can rock bands. That's going to be our new show. You and I are going to
should be
the low end theory, I guess, is what it would be called, or something. I don't know.
I know they're special people. They're special people. Oh my god! Oh my god! Who else? So who else? Okay, who did I?
Who else?
Oh, John also plays. So John
Yes.
Samson he plays some guitar. Um,
There's
he
a
plays.
song here, if you don't mind me saying. There's a
Mm,
song here called Unleashed
mm.
that springs forward, and it reminded me of maybe a Weaker Than's John K. Samson sort of pop song. Is that off the mark?
Well, he did. He played those guitars. So, and as soon as he played those guitars, I was like, wow, that suddenly it changes everything. When he started playing it. And in fact, the idea for the arrangement for that song actually came from Sherry Boyle. When we did it, we did this song, she and I, just the two of us, in our little touring show, where she does art on the overhead projector, kind of handmade animation, and I play music, and it's just the two of us, and it's super low tech, but she's obviously an incredible, what she does with those simple tools is really just overhead projector and like animations. But for that song, she was like, that is a punk rock song.
Yeah.
That, because I conceived it was a lot slower when I brought it to her. It was slow, and she just was like, no, we're speeding it up.
Oh.
And during the performance, actually, she and I switched at one point where she played. I had a little keyboard set up for her with all the tape on the keys, so she knew which keys to play.
Yeah.
And she let me do the art on the overhead projector. So we switched for half the song,
Oh, wow.
which was kind of the fun, like for both of us, it was sort of the potential train wreck, but also really exhilarating, when you get to kind of do someone else's job for a minute.
Yeah,
So,
Sherry was on the show a few years ago now, and I still remember it being a really fascinating conversation. She's an amazing artist.
oh yeah, and just so playful and actually have really good. I listen a lot to her arrangement advice because although she's not a musician, she is a musician.
She is.
She's really.
I feel like she has a very musical mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So that actually was her idea, and when we went in the studio and Jason was trying to figure out what to play on the drums, he just went into that beat, and we tried a bunch of different things, and then he did that, and I was like, okay, that's what it is then. All right, Sherry was right. Yeah. So.
Okay, so you got are we leaving anyone out in terms of?
Yeah, there's a couple little visitors. We had Shotgun Jimmy plays a little tiny bit of guitar.
Mm-hmm.
He plays a second guitar on Unleashed, and my friend Carrie Latimer plays theremin.
Okay.
And
It's
my
a
friend,
spooky instrument.
yeah, that kind of crazy electronic thing.
Yeah.
Using the sound waves in the air. And my friend Keith McLeod plays some mandolin. He fixed I also play some mandolin, but I'm really quite terrible at it. So he kind of came in and did some turd polishing, as we call it in the business.
And you've got
Because I play all the other instruments, so everything else is like, I'm pretty good at faking some things, but there's some instruments you just can't fake.
Right. Okay. Well, and so that's pretty much everyone by your recollection, and you've got some drum machine on here as well.
Yeah, Jay did most of the drum machines. I just got a little tiny synthesizer this year, or I got last year, so there's a bit of synthesizer on here,
Yeah.
which is sort of my new enthusiasm. I tried to be sparing, but it's so hard to resist, man.
Yeah. No. They're toys. You become like a little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do love a children's toy. It's true.
There are some fascinating production things going on here. Like in particular, I want to draw people's attention to the song Passage, because the song itself haunts me in terms of what you're singing. But you have this, I call it ghost rounds. Like if a cat were to watch or hear this song, I think they would see dead people on some level singing this sort of round, if you will. And I found that just like I found that some of those, and there's a few other aspects that come up on the record. They're just fascinating production choices. And so this draws me back to you and John. Like, I don't know if you want to talk about that specifically, but that seems like a very fascinating choice. Yeah, let's start with that. Where did this, the sound of Passage sort of come from?
Well, originally the song was quite different. And in fact, more like I was playing it all on ukulele, and when I started it, it sounded completely different. And then we came in the studio and we're trying to do it, and I imagined it would be a bit more of a drone fest at the beginning, and but I was having difficulty with how to sing it. And it was John who actually came up with the idea of just do a bunch of different takes and sing it a bunch of times, and don't reference the other ones, and just sing in like, don't think about timing, just sing it. And so that's when I realized, oh, that's when you play them all together, that becomes this interesting thing of hearing that sense of time, right? Of how someone was at one time, the choice that they make at one time, and then the choice they make at another time. So it's kind of like seeing someone through their life a little bit. Yeah. When you have that, even if it was just me doing it all in one evening, it still has this sense of time. So that was his suggestion, and it was a real revelation for me. It was like, delightful problem solving. Well, otherwise I would have thrown that song in the garbage.
I feel like the production really enhances the meaning of the song to me somehow, because as I say, there are it's like it's not a backing vocal, but like this round is ghostly to me. And the lines are things like, if you dare to wish me well and I disappear, let me be forgotten. I hope I got that right. I just found it incredibly haunting. And anyway, I just think the effect of the production is just unbelievable. So whatever you two are up to down there in Winnipeg or up there in Winnipeg, you're doing a great job.
Oh, thanks, Vish. You're so nice.
Now the other thing I should bring up is I feel that if I understand things correctly, did you and John start a record label?
Well, not especially. We have started. We started a label, and I wouldn't call it necessarily a record label. It's just a label for stuff that we do. It's called Vivat Virtute. Okay. Named after Virtute the cat. Yes. And we just kind of, I guess we want to formalize. This year we finally took our falling down house and tried to make it better so we can make music in here and live in here. Yeah. And what we ended up doing was smashing down the wall of our entire upstairs. It's just one big open room now, and we work there together. Mm-hmm. So we've literally smashed down the walls between our separate workspaces, and we work in one space. So it sort of felt like this idea of putting something together for us, maybe finally to collaborate on something like truly, maybe a record. I don't know what it'll be next, but we've just been kind of working towards something. So it felt like a good time to kind of to start out that idea with this project.
So you say it's not a record label, it's an imprint of some kind. It could be multi-platform.
Yeah, whatever we sort of feel like doing. And I do feel like I think it's a good question for all of us musicians to ask ourselves that every time, like, is the record still a thing? Is that what we're still doing? Yeah. Or is there something else we can be doing? And I always want to ask that question because it, I don't want to be that person that's just on doing the default thing, like forever and ever. I want it to be, if you're making a record, there's a reason why you're making a record. There's not just, it's like, oh, we make records. It's like, we can make whatever we want.
Right. Whatever the impulse is, you'll follow it if it makes sense to you. Okay. But it has a website.
Yep. We've, and it's true. Well, we kind of need to formalize it in some ways. So we're learning. We're not like good at it or anything because neither of us are very good business people, and we disagree with business and money and basically everything to do with capitalism. So it's problematic. Yeah,
sure.
But
sure.
But we'll see if we can bumble through. We'll figure it out.
Okay. And
we don't know what's going on in social media either. So that's the other thing is neither. You're not going to hear about Vivat Virtute on the internet.
Right, except it's vivatvirtute.com or something, right?
Yeah, but we are not going to be tweeting.
No, nobody's tweeting. It took me a bit to find the website, to be honest. Like, it wasn't even the first thing. There's like a billion
Yes.
things about a shirt that somebody said it was a John K. Samson shirt, I think, and then I finally
You found it.
yeah,
You're like,
20th item down was the actual website for your new imprint. So that's fascinating. So this is the point.
yeah, we're not looking to be at the top of a Google search. It's not our goal.
Mission accomplished, if I might say. At this point, you're doing well. What if you're not on social media? If people want to learn more about you and this record, where should they go besides vivatvirtute.com?
Oh, you can just go to a show. I mean, we'll do some shows. We're going to do some shows.
Go to the shows. You're just saying come to the shows. That's the best way. Okay. Well,
Or just, you can come to a show. I personally do have a website. It's just myname.com.
Yeah.
And I do make an effort to keep it current and not like, but that's
sure. It's not a dormant site. You keep it up to date.
Yeah. And I do. If someone sends me an email, I will email back.
Okay.
Not like some people who shall remain nameless.
Not
yourself.
Are you talking about me? I didn't.
No.
I write back. I try to write back. Yeah. Okay. All right. Good.
You're not that person.
Okay.
But,
sometimes I am. It's a lot of email these days. I feel like it's a lot of email.
Yes. Agreed.
It's too much. It might be too much email.
It is. Well, especially you're trying to raise 2 human beings into adulthood. So
yeah, I'm trying to raise at least 2 emails, and they're little emails. They're just human emails somehow. I don't know what that means, but anyway.
It's getting late. I feel like you should be going to bed.
Yes,
especially because you're not feeling well.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not doing the best, so I will wrap this up. But that was a gentle way of saying you had to go. By the way, it's getting late. You're not.
No, I can
well.
hear it in your throat.
Yeah,
I can hear.
I'm fading a little bit. You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've established where people can go to find out more about you and this amazing record, Roses on the Vine. I want to ask you if you can pick a song from this record that I can play for people so they can hear it. Is that possible?
Oh, you want me to pick it? Why don't you pick it?
Because I find when I ask the artist or the guest to pick something, I get a little bit of insight into where they're at in the moment. I don't like to do it. I know that's weird because I'm hosting the party. I should be able to put out more chips. If people want more chips, I shouldn't be like, you get the chips, whatever you like. I think, though, I don't want to do that. You should pick the song. I feel like can't you, please? I'm sick. It's late. I'm diminished. I could pick any. I've mentioned like 15
Except for that fabulous head of hair. As soon as I see you, I'm just going to run up to you and I'm going to run my fingers through it.
More
creepy.
than welcome to do it. I'll do the same. That's when people say, "Oh man, your hair looks good." I say, "Oh, your hair looks good too." Even if I don't like their hair, that's my default. I just say the same thing back. I like your shirt. I like your shirt. That's just the thing I do. It's just my default because I can't take a compliment. That's what I say. Yeah. How do you like it? How do you like it that I say you've got nice hair? You deal with that for the rest of the day, buddy. That's what I say. No, can you please listen to me? I'm wheezing. I'm getting over pneumonia. Can you please, for the love of all that is pickles, just pick a song for us from your record?
Why don't you play Evening Train? Because that's the one you were talking about. We were talking about with the fence post thing.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
And I'll tell you, this is a little thing about it. Here's a little thing. I wrote it. It's an ode to the TTC, man.
Oh, is it really?
It really is. Because when you go on the TTC, and they have that beautiful little song, da, da, da.
Yeah, the little jingle. Yep.
It's also the same 3 notes as the pastoral, that Benjamin Britten piece of music.
Oh.
The day's grown old, the fainting sun. Anyway.
Do you think that was that intentional on the part of the TTC?
I don't know.
You probably got it from somewhere.
Anyways.
Okay.
So I kind of cop that melody and that piece of music in there because I love riding the subway for that song. I'll just ride it all day long just to hear that song.
Yeah, there's something romantic about this song. I feel like there was a romanticization going on. Strangers on the Ground. Just that notion. I don't know. There's something going on there. I kind of found that imagery interesting.
The Strangers Underground?
Yeah, is that what did I get it wrong? Strangers Underground. Is that what you said?
Yeah, they're under the ground because
Strangers,
they're in the subway.
Right, they're underground. Strangers Underground. That's right. So I thought it was a cool turn of phrase, and there's something about being and the song also has, because of the drum beat, has kind of an underground feeling. I don't know. There's something subterranean about it, if I might say. Am I pushing this too hard now? Because
No, now we've ruined it. Don't bother playing it.
Okay, you're right. No, I'm going to play it right now. This is Evening Train by Christine Fellows from Roses on the Vine, and it's a beautiful record. Christine, thank you for your time, for re-recording this with me, and best of luck with everything in the future.
Thank you. Well, we'll see you in Guelph.
High tops, flip-flops, 3 tall girls, school uniforms in blue, yellow, green, multiply, strangers underground.
Very special thanks to Christine Fellows for appearing on this, the 445th episode of Creative Control, which is part of the Entertainment One podcast network and is available on all iOS and Android platforms and also on YouTube, Spotify, Audio Boom, what have you, whatever. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. But if you can't find a particular episode that you've heard about and you're looking for, and it's not on any of those things, or if you want to learn more about me, sign up for my regularly scheduled newsletter, please visit my website, vishkhanna.com. You can like Creative Control on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at VishCreative or follow me at VishKhanna. Listen to a radio show version of Creative Control on Wednesdays at noon Eastern Standard Time around the world at CFRU.ca or on an actual radio at 93.3 FM if you're in or near Guelph. Also visit patreon.com/Creative Control to make a flexible monthly pledge, donation, in fact, to keep this podcast going. You can make any dollar amount you like, $1, $2, $5,000 a month. You can always change it if you want to, adjust it a little bit. It's up to you. Patreon.com/Creative Control. Thanks again to Pizza Trokadero, The Bookshelf, Planet Bean Coffee, and Grandad's Donuts for their in-kind support of the show. Thanks to my friend Jim Guthrie. I just got to hang out with Jim for the first time in a while. We went to see The Sea and Cake in Toronto. and that was fun. We ate some food, and we talked about old times and new times. It was great. So anyway, Jim is great. You can listen to his music and learn more about him at jimguthrie.org, and he's great. And finally, thanks to you. Thanks for listening to this show and subscribing to the podcast and telling your friends and your relatives who own restaurants to listen to the show and subscribe to the show and all that sort of stuff. It means a lot. I must leave you. It's late, and I want to go to sleep. Or get up early. I don't know what time of day it is that you're listening to this. I'm telling you, I'm tired. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.